Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
It's a proven fact that light travels faster than sound. That's why some people appear bright until you hear them speak. Right, Hillary? Good morning, everybody. Here we go with, of course, Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning on a Wednesday. A little cloudy outside this morning. And I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, and welcome with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call them at 734-6969. And don't forget, they're locally owned and operated. Good morning, Gina.
Well, good morning, sunshine, and how are you on this fine Wednesday?
I'm a little bit more than distraught. I have a lot of things to be concerned about today, and there's a lot of things in the news that are upsetting, including something that was extremely painful to watch yesterday. It was like pulling your fingernails out, and I'm going to talk about that right after we do the weather, and that was Hillary's press conference.
Yeah, I was less than impressed with what she had to say as well.
It was absolutely one of the worst staged, worst rehearsed, worst programmed press conferences I've ever seen.
I have to agree.
Anyway, do we have a pleasure?
It's either going to be me, you, Damon, or Michael.
Well, let's go with, let's do it with you.
Okay.
All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That leads us right up to our weather forecast, brought to everybody this morning by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. They've got whatever you need in home decor to make your house a home, and they know all about all the decorations, carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, everything right there at Cheney Flooring and Home Design. 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. They're open Mondays through Fridays, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 10 to 4. And Whitney's always got some really innovative, great ideas. And kind of like this one, create a welcoming coffee table with books and all kinds of collectible objects right there when they walk in the house. They're going to love it. They're going to think you really have a very nice home. You stop in and see them today. Cheney Flooring and Home Design in Burley on 1228 Oakley Avenue. Look for the blue door. And right now, let's look for our weatherman, Michael Rogers.
Another beautiful day in the neighborhood. I need to not sing, but that's okay. I was thinking the time in Fairbanks, Alaska, I dressed up like Mr. Rogers and did the weather on TV. Everybody just cracked up. I wish I could do it today, but bottom line is that another nice day. You're going to see some clouds, and that's fine. Our weather story for this week is the milder temperatures. So that being said, temperatures mid-upper 60s. Look for the rain Wednesday night going into Thursday, and then we shut the sprinklers off on Thursday. And we're looking for a pretty nice weekend. Any changes, I'll let you know about them. But that is your weather. Enjoy it. It is the only weather you got.
Oh, thank you, Michael. And please, please don't quit your day job. And thank you very much. Michael Rogers Weather, brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, 678-6945. Look for the blue door. Thank you very much. Hey, too, we want to say thanks to our dear friends. And that's Ramsey Heating and Electric. And 2600 Overland Avenue is the location for Ramsey Heating and Electric. And don't forget, they've got all your light bulbs. Go to the light, go to the light. They've got them all. And they've got all the wire and the fuses and the cords and anything you need for venting and wiring and repairing. They're open 7:30 to 5, Monday through Fridays at Ramsey Heating and Electric. 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they always provide... There, I got to get the frog out of my throat. Warm winters and cool summers. You stop in and see them today. Ramsey Heating and Electric. I don't know how many of you had the opportunity to watch that press conference yesterday at the United Nations with Hillary Clinton. Let's kind of tear this thing apart a little bit. Hillary Clinton and that press conference, it was, like I mentioned a moment ago, the most painful thing I've watched in a long time. First of all, she played her superiority to the hilt by taking as much time as possible to get in front of the podium and start answering questions. You know, it's like making a doctor's appointment at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then about 2:30, 2:45, they come out and finally get you. I mean, my time is as important as anybody else's time, or whether it's with a lawyer or whomever. Well, Hillary milked that for all it was worth yesterday and kept the networks waiting, looking at a podium and a microphone. That's it, at the United Nations building. You know, the whole thing, first off, she looked absolutely terrible. I'll have Gina jump in on this for a few seconds and get the female atmosphere on this. Hillary Clinton, I think she needs to fire whoever is in charge of her makeup, her clothing, and her hair. She looked like and I'm not trying to be rude to her, but she just looked like a cleaning lady that had laid down her dust map and broom. Did you not agree?
I do agree, honestly. She looked a little disheveled.
A little disheveled.
Well, you know, I'm trying to be a little bit nice here, but she did not look put together. She looked like, honestly, she could have just rolled out of bed.
That's exactly
right. Thrown on some clothes and then gone to this press conference. When you're going to a press conference, at least in my eyes, you're going to look nice.
Well, and I would say, you said extremely disheveled, I would say extremely haggard.
Okay, yeah, that would be enough way to put it. You know, maybe she stayed up late. I don't know, deleting emails, whatever it was that she was doing, but she looked like H-E double toothpick.
Well, let me ask you this, and I don't know if you caught this or not, because it's a question that was brought up by another person this morning on major network news, and I noticed it yesterday. Did you notice some of the twitches in her face and some of the head jerks and the eye twitches? I do not think that Hillary Clinton is exactly in perfect health.
I don't think she is, and you know, maybe, you know how some people get this like nervous twitch when they're nervous or they're really stressed out. Maybe that is the case, but maybe it is a medical issue that she's trying to hide from the public.
You know, she had that knock on the head, and they said that she blamed a lot of her canceling of appearances and everything for a healing up factor. But I noticed that when she would look down at the podium and she was reading a lot of her answers, her staff had answers to questions. And by the way, some of these questions that were asked by the so-called media, they were like powder puffs. They were like cotton ball questions.
No, and they didn't even ask the tough questions.
Yeah, the first question that came along was from a guy that doesn't even live here in this country. He was from Turkey, and he asked the question, and I'm paraphrasing, do you feel you'd have this kind of problem if you were a man? I mean, come on. That was the very first question asked in the interview. And
so why were they trying to spin it to a gender issue? This isn't about gender issue. This is about email.
Bingo. You see, Gina, this is the way the liberal left covers up, and this is what was really funny. She knew that guy was going to be asking the first question, and he was not even from the American press, and she automatically looked up from her book and went right straight to this guy. I think it was a set-up question to defer the interest of the press conference.
Yeah, probably, you have somebody out there as a seed to start everything off, and then, then that gets everybody else's, line of thinking, and so they were trying to defer it and try and move the line of questioning in a different direction.
I've got to just say this one more thing, and I'll let you go, but, she came right out in the opening talking about the emails and lied. She covered up a lie with another lie. And I've got all the proof right here on my personal computer. What she said was that she used one BlackBerry to send emails for the last 4 years in the Obama administration as the Secretary of State. There is an interview that she conducted about 3 to 4 weeks ago where she was sitting talking to the commentator, and they were kidding back and forth about how Hillary keeps track of all of her different devices. In other words, she was using more than one, but yesterday told the media that she used only one for convenience.
Well, like here at the radio station, a lot of times we have like 2 different cell phones, one for work, and then, one for personal use. And then I've got 5 different email accounts, a couple of them for work, and then the rest are for personal use. But, I keep all of my emails, especially the important ones, and for her to say, well, gosh, all of those emails were just too personal in nature. And
they were wedding information, and they were thank you notes, yes.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I think sensitive information was deleted. I'm sure of it.
But what right? Here's the basic bottom line question for the listeners and the audience to answer this morning. Anything that is done politically or for the government belongs to you and me and everyone else. That is public information.
Amen.
And it is not her right as Secretary of State, it is not her right as a presidential candidate to discern what is hers, what is not, what can be deleted, and what must be given over. That is not her right. And when she looked at the camera yesterday at that press conference and said that her server will not be turned over, end of press conference, no need to check, I got them and I deleted what you don't need, that's not her prerogative.
No, that's not her prerogative, and honestly, I think she should be brought up on federal charges for that.
I do too, which would eliminate her automatically from running from the president.
And you wouldn't see me shedding a tear over.
There you go. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Denny's Restaurant. Let's just sit down, calm down, and just look at the menu. Oh, my. You like breakfast like I do? Oh, they've got delicious breakfasts over there. You can build your own Grand Slam. And they've got delicious lunches with all the sandwiches, and they got delicious dinners. Oh, it's just fantabulous. And you're going to love the people. The service is really, really great. And next Thursday on the 19th, we're going to be over at Denny's Restaurant at 611 Overland in Burley for our Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Oh, you'd better be there. And don't forget, they've got another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. So there you go, Denny's Restaurant, the very, very best, serving you. Caller, I'll be right there. Do not go away. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. I want to remind everybody that the big Doosan loaders are over at Berry Equipment and Rental, 3 locations, South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls with Eli, the old Packer backer, and of course Highway 30 in Burley, 159 West Highway 30 with Nick and the crew. They've got the Doosan loaders. They've got the big Doosan excavators, the 3.5-yard loader and the 3.5-yard high lift loader. They've got them all. They've got what you need to get the job done for this spring. Great financing available too at Berry Equipment and Rental, South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and Highway 30 in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. Berry Equipment and Rental. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
We're getting a government and people that run this country as corrupt as any third world nation out there.
I'm not going to argue with you.
I mean, okay, just let's talk about Hillary and her statement. She handed over what she thought was pertinent. So you and I would be investigated for, say, a crime of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
The police come to us and we hand them the evidence, what we feel is what they need, and say you can't have the rest of it.
Yeah.
What would they do?
Oh, Dougie boy, how do you like living in a cement chamber with bars on it?
Exactly. And I seen a deal yesterday. Al Capone owed $150,000 in taxes, and he went to prison. And you take, my mind just went blank. President's number one.
Well, that's Al Sharpton owing us $5 million, and he's walking the streets creating problems.
And he has dinners at the White House.
Yeah. You know,
and this government is so corrupt.
They don't want to hear this, though, Doug. They don't want to hear this, and they want to admonish and reject it, and they want to run us down. The machine that is in charge of politics right now, whether it's Obama or whether it's all his underlings, Doug, I'm telling you, people like you and I are squashable. We are bugs on the cement that they will come after and they will squash. We are to be towing the line, and anybody else that's in the hierarchy, they can get away with literally, and I mean this when I say this, murder.
Exactly. Well, I was watching Hannity, and he's talking to Ben Stein, and he says, you try that with the IRS. I'm not going to tell you how much money I made. You talk to the people that wrote my check to me, and you can find, they already reported it. Yeah. You find out from them how much I made.
You know, you take the case of Al Sharpton. I'm going to just come right out and say it, and if anybody's offended by this, I really don't care. Al Sharpton is one of the complete lowlifes in our society today. And how in the world anyone could attribute the name Reverend to Al Sharpton in a meaning of Christianity is far beyond my mindset. I can't understand or comprehend how he could ever call himself a man of God. This man relies on making millions of dollars off the misery of other people.
Yes, he has. And my opinion, what Al Sharpton has done, he sold his soul to the devil for monetary value.
Yeah, and then the devil gave him the key to the White House.
Exactly.
Yeah. Doug, appreciate your call as always. Thank you, my friend. God bless. You know, what do you folks think about this? I am absolutely shocked when I was listening to the various reports yesterday after that United Nations so-called press conference. That, and I turned to other stations. I turned to CNN. I turned to Fox. I turned even to the worst network available to mankind, MSNBC. And basically they shared a common thread, a common thought. They said those that love Hillary still love Hillary, and those that despise Hillary still despise Hillary. The press conference did nothing to change that. And you know, that was amazing to me, because here was a woman of the Clinton machine, a big, powerful, get-out-of-our-way machine. And she lied about various things in the press conference. That's not my verbiage. I'm not saying that she lied as a single entity. That is the remarks of many, many people in the media, many, many people that know the facts. She lied. She came right out and told stories to cover up other stories. And basically, she was thumbing her nose at you and I. But when the commentators of various networks say that the people that love Hillary still love Hillary, and you look at how everybody still considers her to be, quote-unquote, a shoo-in to get the Democratic nod for president and possibly become president, look at her actions. Look at her personality. Look at her superiority character that she thinks she's better than the law. Do we really want that kind of a person as president? Look what we got now. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hey, my old buddy, emphasis on old Lucky Born at Wiltran Incorporated, 529 F Street in Rupert. He says, hey, we need some great drivers at Wiltran. That's right. 2 years Class A driving experience and a clean driving record required. They've got benefit packages available after 60 days of employment, and they've got a lot of Western State regional positions available, over-the-road positions available, and a lot of great home time, too. You check it out. Go to online, WiltranIncorporated.com, or call Lucky Born at Wiltran Incorporated, 639-6411. You do that today, okay? All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear what you have to say. By the way, real quick, before we do our did the Capital Press come in, Deanne? It didn't come in yet. Okay. Evidently, there was a little glitch up in Portland this morning, so we didn't get that, but we'll still talk about our dear friends over at Mount Harrison Audio in just a moment. But I also wanted to remind you about Scott Gano. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, and he's located at 336 South, 450 West of Paul. Number to call. Call him on his cell phone. Wake him up if he's still sleeping. And that number is 431-8733. And they can get all your trees properly pruned. I love saying that. Properly pruned. Fruit trees, ornamental shade trees, large, dangerous trees. No problem. Just call him, and if you've got stumps that need to be out of the ground, he can take care of those stumps. And they've been in the tree and landscape business for over 35 years. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, 431-8733. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeb. I watched Hillary for about as long as I could take it. I felt that it was a female Obama standing up there, was looking from side to side, never looking too directly at the camera, looking up in the air. Wasn't too impressive, was it?
You know, I got to be honest with you. You picked up on something that I've heard many people that know her personally have commented on, that Hillary will not look people in the eye. It's something that you picked up on and a lot of people talk about. And I've always heard that if you can't look somebody in the eye, you're not a very sincere person.
That's exactly right. My point. Yes, it was.
All right. And what did you know? I want to ask you another question. When you were watching the press conference, and I'm not asking you to be hypercritical of her, but just be honest, did you notice some of the twitches, not only in the facial expressions, but the head jerks and also the eyes? I don't think the lady's 100% healthy.
Well, I don't either, and with some of the stories, which are to me just stories yet, but where she has had drinking problems, did fall and bump her head, yeah, maybe she has medical problems, or maybe that's just the results of doing all that other. But yeah. I don't want her up there guiding my country.
But if you were married to Bill, wouldn't you have an imbibement problem yourself?
Goodbye.
All right, thank you. Oh, being married to Bill, and then they say there's an intimation that she might have a drinking problem. Are you kidding? Tip that bottle up. Oh, my goodness. Calls are welcome. 436-2244. I'll get in trouble for that. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Now, here's what happened, and let me ask Gina quick. Gina, did anything come through there that I'm not aware of on the Capitol Press? I don't think so. But
no, it never came through.
Okay. We have this problem very, very seldom, but our friends up in Portland evidently did not send us down the Capitol Press Ag Minute for this morning. So what we're going to do is just tell you about our sponsor, and that's Mount Harrison Audiology with Christine Pickup. Now, I've got to give her a jingle, and I've got to get over there because I want to have one of those hearing screenings so I can tell you folks more about it, because hearing loss is not a part of aging. That's right. It's not an age problem, and it's not normal. So get over there and give her a call and try to schedule an appointment to have your hearing checked. And easy location of Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. It's right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and the number to call to make an appointment, 312-0957. Okay? Mount Harrison Audiology with Christine Pickup, a very nice lady, doctor of audiology. You call her today. And normally every day she brings you the Capital Press Ag Minute, but if we don't have the new one sent to us from Portland, we can't do that. Calls are welcome. Come on, give us a jingle. What did you think, honestly, of the Hillary Clinton press conference yesterday? I thought it was tragic. And I honestly feel that for the liberals, and believe me, the numbers are not 100%. I was listening to another show yesterday that had Democrats on the panel. And every one of the Democrats really criticized Hillary. And 2 of the 3 I was listening to do not want her to run for president after and especially because of this incident. So the walls are crumbling for Hillary Clinton. By the way, every Monday, we give away a half-dozen great big, huge, humongous cinnamon rolls from Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. And all you have to do is answer a question, and believe me, you're the lucky winner. You're going to enjoy. I wouldn't share them with anybody. They're so good. You just remember on Mondays, we really highlight Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. You can go in there for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They're open 6 to 6 weekdays, 6 to 2 on weekends. What a bakery at Sophie's Chatterbox. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, Senator Tom Cotton, he's raised higher on the left. But you see, I really believe that Cotton and Cruz and Ben Sass, the new senator from Nebraska, and others are, the kind of thing that we need so desperately, and the left is just really scared to death. And then including Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. These guys are going to be something. And the left is scared. I mean, they're so afraid that, they lash out. Well, they always lash out, but it's an encouraging thing.
Randy, I'm going to tell you something that if you haven't had the opportunity and you really want to get worked up and mad this morning, and you want to have an opportunity to reapply your deodorant, you want to pick up a copy of the Times News, our illustrious Little Times News newspaper, and you need to read the editorial column that was written, I think I know by whom, but of course they never put their names on these editorials. And this editorial is about the 47 senators that some people have called on the left traitors. And this morning our Times News listed as traitors Mike Crapo and Jim Risch. And please read it and then sit back and have your blood pressure taken, call the hospital emergency room and tell them to be on standby because you're going to go right through the roof.
Well, Tom Cotton was in the Iraq War. He's a veteran. He understands things over there. And, that's the thing, when we have the hierarchy running the show who don't ever really understand it.
Let me tell you something, and I'm serious when I tell you, and I want all my listeners to read this. I think the Times News editorial board stepped out of bounds this morning, and I'll tell you why. At the very end of that rather lengthy op-ed piece this morning, they honestly compared the senators, and especially our 2 senators, Risch and Crapo, as being on the same side of the fence as ISIS. And if that's not offensive, then you must not get offended.
I'll tell you what, I just can't even stand to take the paper. Autumn Agar, she claims to be a conservative, and then there's another gentleman that took over as publisher. I don't know, he's supposed to, been a Christian. I can't believe that this is what we're getting out of these people that claim they are thinking about how the people of the Magic Valley feel.
Well, I'm not trying to sell newspapers for them. Believe me, and I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way. I'm not trying to sell the Times News newspapers by giving a lot of hype and a lot of lightning and thunderbolts and everything else because of this editorial. But I think that they need a good, swift slap in the face and a kick in the butt for even intimating that our two senators, Crapo and Risch, are on the same level and, like they said, bedfellows with ISIS. I found that to be extremely offensive, and to be frank, I think the Times News tomorrow morning should come out and apologize for that because it was absolutely uncalled for.
Well, I'll tell you what, I used to know that number by heart because I used to call out, and then I got to the point where it was just a waste of time. But you see, they still carry an influence over this of people of the Magic Valley.
Yep.
And you see, this kind of influence is truly irresponsible, to say the least.
I agree. But read it, and if you don't get a chance to call me...
I'll go get it. I'm in Twin right now. I'm going to go get it.
Yeah, read it, but you are not allowed to drive or have a firearm or a jackknife in your possession after you read it.
Okay.
All right, Randy, take care. God bless.
Thanks, man.
Have a good day. No, I found that to be one of the most offensive, and quite frankly, there's a lot of holes in their screen door with some of these so-called facts that they put in that article, and I think they should apologize. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeb.
Yes.
I read that opinion page, and I'll tell you what, whoever wrote that, get your damn facts straight. What about the Democrats when Kennedy throw his influence over to Russia to try and overturn Reagan's election? How about that?
I can go one newer, and that was, of course, Nancy Pelosi going over, and this administration that was in office at that time, Bush, did not want her to go over and visit with Syria's Assad, but she did it anyway. But you see, the Democrats, they forget about this type of thing. And what they did in this newspaper editorial this morning on behalf of the Times News, when at the bottom, and you tell me if I stated it wrong, Al, because I trust your opinion, they basically equivocated Risch and Crapo as being almost in bed with ISIS.
That's right. And I'm telling you what, I'm getting sick and tired of it. And if somebody can't put a stop to that kind of rhetoric around here with that editor, then I think something ought to be done, and I think we ought to just start canceling our paper and say, if you can't tell the truth, then get the hell out of this country. We don't need it.
Well, everybody has a right to their opinion, and I know that you'll agree with that. But when you start making inflammatory and statements like this, and it just was a whole knocking of Crapo and Risch, and at the very bottom, basically putting them in the same stance, if you will, as ISIS, I was highly offended by that.
You're not the only one. I'm getting sick and tired of that kind of crap. I'm just coming pretty close to saying, you take the paper and shove it.
All right, well, listen.
It's getting ridiculous.
I agree. I hope, tell Polly to quit barking. Cough doesn't sound any better.
You tell her. You got the guts.
See you later. Thanks.
Bye.
Streamline Precision. I had a nice visit with Tim Vaughn yesterday on the telephone. They are busy. As a matter of fact, they're working south of me, as a matter of fact, building the brand new Funk Dairy out there. And they're putting up a lot of stuff. I mean, they are so busy, but you know what? Tim said, you call them, they'll get the job done. They really are workers. You call Streamline Precision at 431-7314. I'll repeat it again, 431-7314, Tim Vaughn, and he can give you the estimates on the work you need done. And he told me, he says, man, Zeb, we are so busy putting up a lot of grain bins, too, for on-the-farm storage. And they are an authorized dealer for Sukup and Chief and Balin. And believe me, what they put up, they know what they're doing. They are the professionals and the best at what they do for you. Give them a call. They have vast experience in every kind of building, including dairies, feedlots, food processing, multiple other agricultural operations. And like I said, all you have to do is call and get an estimate, all figured up by Tim Vaughn, 431-7314. Do it today. Tell them Zeb sent you. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. You call the professionals. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, later on this morning, I'm trying to think who's going to be handling that, but I think Dave Beagle is going to be touching on it a little bit. We're going to be talking about the illegal aliens, and I mentioned this story yesterday. And it's true. I've got verification on everything yesterday and then again more so today. A lot of illegal aliens coming into this country are using the Social Security number of dead people to get benefits and our money. And you know what? The U.S. Attorney's Office knew this and didn't prosecute. They had orders to not prosecute. What? You can't make this stuff up, folks. We are living in, like, I don't know who it was first that called this morning. I think it was Doug. We're living in some very corrupt times. We're living in times that you and I and everybody should say, oh, wait a minute. You want my money on April 15th, tax day? Well, then you get a big dust mop and a broom and a dustpan and start cleaning up your act first. The American people have got to do something as a threat that's going to hold water and tell this government, you either shape up or we're going to ship you out. You've got to be careful when you say that. But I've had enough myself when the U.S. Attorney's Office knew that this was being done, and they never, ever did a thing about it. Oh, my. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
How we doing this morning, Mr. Bill?
Oh, I'm supposed to keep my blood pressure down, but, man, it's really climbing right now.
You're just doing it to yourself, okay? Well, the government's helping too.
Well, you know, it is the government. It's the idiocy and incompetency of our government, and I dare anybody to tell me that's wrong.
I want to make one point. Have you seen the video of Hillary talking about how she deleted stuff that was just personal stuff off of her emails on her cell phone?
No, I saw the whole press conference yesterday.
Okay, did you notice and take note and rewind the pictures? She never makes eye contact with the media or the cameras at all. She's always looking off up into space.
Yeah, we talked about that. A lady brought it up earlier in our program that there was no icon. No, wait a minute. I just want to compliment you for perceiving that, because others have noticed it too. And then also I noticed a little bit of a twitch, a little bit of a head jerk, a little bit of a just not looking right. And I just don't think this woman's entirely healthy.
Yeah, that's the main deal there. If she can't make eye contact, that she's lying about everything.
Well, you know, I'm not going to say that she's lying about everything, but I will say this. I think she did a job yesterday of answering questions that were softball questions. She never told really the entire truth about the emails. She never explained why she thought she had the right to erase what was there. I mean, there's more unanswered questions today than there was before they started that press conference.
That's true. It's just kind of crazy.
All right. Well, hey, listen, God bless you for your call. Thank you so much.
But you know what? If that was me and you would be in jail by now.
Oh, buddy, I'll tell you what, we would be singing the old cell block blues.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Bye.
He's right. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call, excuse me, that I know is coming in, I have had, you know what, in the spring, I get this allergy in my throat when things start budding out and it starts to be spring. It's happening now. It's only March 11th. And it's not supposed to happen till like May. What's going on here? Anyway, it's time for the weather, brought to you by Red's Trading Post. Caller, don't go away. I'll be with you in 60 seconds. Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls with Ryan Horsley and the rest of the crew. The best of guns, the best of ammo, the best of accessories, and the best of people. They really know that industry. Red's Trading Post in Twin Falls brings you now Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers for Zebra the Ranch. Welcome to the weather, where every day is a good day, and some days are just better than others. Today's one of them good days. Not better than others, but it's one of them good days. Look for a pretty nice day. A lot more sun than clouds, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see a few clouds hanging around. Got some rain on the way toward Wednesday night going into Thursday, but our weather story for this week, the milder temperatures, so we're going to look for temperatures possibly the mid-upper 60s for today. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It is the only weather you've got.
Thank you, Michael. Reds will also give you top dollar for your used guns if you want to trade them in, and they've also got all your ammunition needs at Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. You stop in and see them today. Caller, good morning. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah. I heard, I think it was on Mark Levin, that the IRS has, well, not the IRS, but also the Social Security are still sending out checks to people up to 112 years old. There's like over 1 million of them.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit earlier, caller, that there are many, many people that are illegal aliens that have somehow obtained SS numbers and are drawing the benefits and the checks, and the U.S. Attorney's Office is not prosecuting. And we're going to have something on that a little bit later on. But thank you very much for your call, because you're right on top of it. Appreciate it. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Wait a minute. This is really bothersome to me. Maybe you folks out there in the audience don't think that this is a big deal. I do. Why are we in this country accepting Iranian students from Iran into this country to study at our major universities, and their major is nuclear energy? Wait a minute. That really bothers me. Iran, nuclear, students, going home. That really bothers me a lot, and I think it should be looked into. And this morning, I made some calls back east, and we're talking to some people, and they too are very concerned about this as to, wait a minute, if we're having trouble with Iran, and we're having trouble with them trying to possibly, under the table, which they are, I'm sure, build a nuclear bomb for a Holocaust against Israel and possibly us, why are we accepting their students into this country to learn nuclear energy? Somebody's got to help me on that one. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One of the best companies in this whole area is Dot Foods, and they are some of the nicest people, and they really take care of the people that work for them. Well, the Department of Labor, the Idaho Department of Labor, next Thursday on the 19th from 4 to 6 p.m. is going to have a job fair, and Dot Foods is looking for quality people, for drivers, full-time, part-time, team drivers, transfer drivers, and they're also looking for warehouse people, full-time and part-time. And they're going to have interviews right there at the Idaho Department of Labor, 127 West 5th Street North in Burley. And I highly suggest that you put that down. If you're looking for a job, that's the place to be at that job fair next Thursday, the 19th. And for more information on this, you can call Dot Foods and press 2 for the Human Resources Department. They'll tell you all about it. But they're growing and they're hiring at Dot Foods in Burley. Wonderful people. And don't forget that Idaho Department of Labor job fair next Thursday, March 19th. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One of the most gruesome things that I have ever seen in my life, and believe me, the John Wayne attitude left me when I saw this the first time, but there was a little boy, about maybe 7 or 8 years old, about 5-6 months ago, that ISIS had incorporated into executing a prisoner. Just walked up behind the prisoner and shot him in the head. Well, now it happened again. And ISIS had about a 9-year-old boy walk up behind in the video and stand behind a prisoner. And then, under the acknowledgement of the ISIS member standing next to this young boy, pull a gun up behind the prisoner's head, blew his brains out, and then, as the body fell forward, shoot the victim twice more. I couldn't watch it. And I just got to thinking about the Bible and about Christianity under siege, and about God telling us so many times in the Bible, what is now wrong will become right, and what is right will become wrong, and that's exactly what's going on in our society. But to take a 9-year-old boy with his whole life ahead of him and basically coerce and brainwash him into doing such a heinous act of taking another person's life. Wow. The world really is in trouble. I couldn't watch it. And then, after he had fired the weapon 3 times, he stood there and yelled, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. We got a lot of problems, folks. We've got a lot of problems. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I mean, somebody said earlier, we got a lot of things to worry about. Yes, we do. And one of my biggest worries is that we're not worried enough about what's coming or is in already this country. We don't know what's going on with some of these terror camps that are already established in New York, upstate New York, up in the woods, or out in the desert in central Oregon, or up in the panhandle of Texas, or maybe even here. We don't know. I just absolutely am shocked when I talk to people like Martin Moyer, the author of the book Twilight in America, and he put 2.5 years of study into finding out, and he's got pictures in the book of these terror camps that are right here in the United States of America. And the naivete and the gullibility of our senators and congressmen that go, well, holy cow, I didn't know that. It's unbelievable what's happening right here in the U.S., and our so-called leadership hasn't got a clue. Let's talk a minute about our big spring tire sale, and then I'll take some calls. Big spring tire sale at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my. And by the way, too, convenient credit for tires and services. They've got a credit system that is absolutely second to none, and the best tire value promise in the industry. So you stop in and check out all the tires, like the passenger car tire called the Eclipse. All-season traction, advanced design tread on sale right now, as is another great passenger car tire, their best, the Ultra Z900, up to 80,000 mile warranty on that tire. You check it out today at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All right, hurry. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Another story that I didn't get a chance to get into this morning was the capitulation to try to not tee anybody off, which is impossible. And Burger King, and they're not a sponsor on this program, so I don't care if they're offended by me saying this or not. Burger King has dropped fountain drinks from its kids' menu boards, and they are no longer merchandised as part of Burger King kids' meals. So in other words, they have capitulated to the pressure of all the people that want to regulate what you and I eat. I mean, they basically want us to pull into a drive-in and have seaweed and kelp or something like that mixed with broccoli for dessert. Oh, yum! Let's spend our money on that and dip it in a natural sauce. Yeah, I'll dip it, all right. But this is what it's coming to. And they're saying now that at Burger King they're going to limit the kids' menus to either milk or juice. And they show a picture in the USA Today of now no longer French fries are acceptable. You know what I mean? You can't be a kid anymore. You can't be an adult that wants to go in and just kind of splurge and enjoy yourself once in a while. No. They got to have sliced apples and show a glass of milk and a burger with all the goodies like maybe lettuce on it and everything else. I am so sick of political correctness. And businesses are falling by the wayside to be politically correct. And pretty soon, it's going to move to the supermarket. I said this a long time ago, and I mean it. They're going to be standing there at the checkout line, basically saying, oh, no, Mr. Bell, you've got a few pounds on your little tummy. Take back some of what you wanted and get something else. I honestly think that's going to happen. We're going to take a little break for a few minutes, and coming up next half hour, we're going to start with Dave Bego from Indianapolis, Indiana, and then we're going to go to Matt Balin, and we appreciate your calls. So stay tuned. Zeb at the Ranch on a Wednesday. Looks like it might rain, and it might. Have a good day. Stay right here on K-Bar 1230 CN6. Oh, my. What happened to our sunshine? Slipped behind a cloud. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always in Georgia's soul. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and its great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at Georgia's soul. Western Waste Services.
Always at your disposal is correct. I know these people, and we're going to try to get Kelly on our program, I think tomorrow or next week at Western Waste Services. And they're locally owned and operated and serving you. And boy, you can tell when a business has great service. They expand. They're covering the whole Magic Valley. Absolutely. Always at your disposal. With the best of all the dumpsters in various sizes and the porta potties and, of course, the weekly pickup of your garbage. They do a great job. Just give them a call. 734-6969. Always at your disposal. Western Waste Services. Oh, my. Busy day yesterday and another busy day here this morning, as we also want to remind you about some other really, really nice folks. And I know all of these people also, they do a wonderful job serving the public, and that's Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, with Joel Heward as manager and also his staff and family, really giving you the attention you need when there's the passing of a loved one. And they can travel to rural towns and churches and help you with all the arrangements. And always remember this, that they are committed to always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. very nice people serving you. At Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, serving you. Well, look who is waiting out in the foyer, and he's standing there with a golf club in one hand and a broom in the other. Great author, just a super nice guy, Dave Bego, back in Indianapolis, Indiana. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Zeb. How are you doing?
Oh, hanging in, hanging on, just like the cat on the ledge. Hey, Dave, I got to compliment you. Not only are you a jump ahead of me in the writing and producing of 2 books, The Devil at Our Doorstep, The Devil at My Doorstep, but and I still haven't got mine all figured out yet and have sent not anything to the publisher on time, but also a great blog. Both of us share the same common bond there. You write a blog, I write a blog. I really found this one to be very interesting and very informative on what the government's trying to do on the net neutrality agreement. I'm going to let you kind of give us an overview of what you were trying to tell the people.
Okay. Well, and Zeb, it's not really just net neutrality. It's in everything. And in my book, if people would read it, and I hope they do, because I really expose what's going on in America, not just with unions, but politically, because it's all tied together in one big knot.
Right.
But the unions wanted me to sign, if you remember, a neutrality agreement that would take my people's rights away to a secret ballot election and dealing with their employer and all that kind of stuff and go to card check. And I refused to do it because I told them it was un-American. And what I'm doing is I'm comparing what Obama's doing to what the union bosses are doing. They're trying to get Americans to sign a neutrality agreement and take away all of our freedoms,
right.
Get away from secret ballot elections, go to a totalitarian type of government where you have one leader forever until he dies, which would be our esteemed president, obviously, and turn us from a capitalistic free market society to a socialistic society. And that's what this blog is all about, because the parallels are just unbelievable. I fought the union bosses. I see how they act. I see their tactics. I see what they do, their rhetoric and all that. And it's identical to what this president in the United States is doing today to the United States people, the American people. And I'm trying to wake them up. And the interesting thing is that if you read down through the blog at the end, I was on another radio show back in December in California, and one of the listeners afterwards sent an email to the talk show host, and the email, the title of it was, "A Salute to David Bego for His Courage." And Zeb, this guy says, as former chief in-house legal counsel for the SEIU Local 660, the largest local union west of the Mississippi, I salute David Bego for standing up for freedom against the SEIU. Under the leadership of former social worker becomes socialist president of the SEIU, Andy Stern, SEIU members were transformed from public servants to public enemies, grasping for safety, benefits, pensions, and power over the taxpayers who pay them. I just bought David's book for my daughter for Christmas. Good to see a modern-day David taking on the SEIU socialist Goliath. For God and country forever. Surrender to tyranny never. And what this guy, his name is Reese Lloyd, what he was saying, Zeb, is that the SEIU are socialists, they're communists, and I have repeatedly tied these people to the President of the United States that's in the White House right now.
You know, Dave, I read that, and it's a real compliment and tribute to you as an author and also as a red, white, and blue American. But, you know, when you look at this administration and you look at basically the lies and the innuendos and the under-the-table deals and everything, really, our nation is going through, I think, one of the worst corrupt periods of bad politics ever in the history of this nation.
Oh, it absolutely is, and that's what I'm trying to expose with my blogs and that, and Zeb, I don't know how to say it. I know people get tired of hearing it, but I saw this. I was naive before the SEIU attacked me and my company and my people.
Yeah.
And I went through a 4-year battle with them, and I saw who they are, their tactics, and the things they say, their lies and innuendos and misinformation. and how they were tied to this president and a lot of the Democratic Party. And I woke up to what's really going on in America. And, because when I see the president on TV saying the things he does and some of the Democrats, I look and I say, yep, I've seen that before. I've heard that stuff before. It's the same type of thing, trying to mislead Americans and brainwash them, and at the same time, behind the scenes, changing our laws so they can take over. And America needs to wake up.
Dave, right there, the 7-letter word comes in that I think is the headline for what they're doing. And the word is control. They want absolute control over what we eat, over what we do, over what we recreate, over where we go, over what we do for jobs. They want absolute control. Would you agree with that or not?
Oh, absolutely, and I've written a blog about that a year or so ago. It's all about control, and it's the same with the union bosses. When they come in to unionize people, it's not because they care about the employees or their union members. It's all about the money, number one, that they line their pockets with and they use for their political agenda. And number two, it's control, because they get in and they put everybody, they get them all in the same category. They're all sheep, okay? Everybody makes about the same wages. You can only work so hard. You can only do this. And when you have people that are basically powerless, you can control them. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
One of the things that really bothered me, and I went through your blog, and quite frankly, I got it so late to the beginning of the program this morning, I had to highlight things in a hurry. But I can relate to what you said on the proposing additional budget deficit increases on behalf of the Obama administration. Now, they want nearly a $4 trillion budget for fiscal 2016, and out of that $4 trillion, they want an additional $7.4 billion and increases given to solar and wind energy, which is not cutting the cake, which is not making any money, and which is not supplying the electricity we need. What a complete waste.
Yeah, that's right. But you got to understand, Zeb, it's payback to these people who, and I forget the guy's name. Remember in California where he said he was going to donate $100 million to the Democratic Party?
Oh, that's Tom Spires.
Programs.
Tom Stiers.
And that's what this is all about. This has nothing to do what's right for the American people or what makes sense financially. This is their program to slowly, and I don't think it's slowly, I think they're going to try and do it before the next presidential election, to take over America. And it's time for all of us to start waking people up and get them to understand that this president and these people are not for Americans. They're for themselves and for controlling this country.
David, I want to ask you this, and we've been friends for a long time, but this capitalistic society, it was great for you in your business. It's been phenomenal for me and the advantages in my business. But right now, the capitalism versus socialism issue with the younger generation coming up that doesn't understand the values, and I don't think has the work ethic to really make capitalism stay afloat in this country, how concerned are you that we may in our lifetime see the death of capitalism?
Well, I'm very concerned. Like I said, I think it could happen in the next couple of years. And but despite what's going on, Zev, and what you just said, I see a lot of people that are willing to work. It's a matter of getting them out there and exposing them to it and giving them the opportunity instead of giving people all the entitlement and welfare programs. And people are going to say that I'm insensitive. That's not the case at all. I want everybody to have opportunity and to do well. But you don't do it by being on the government dole. You do it by getting out and making yourself a good person and a productive member of society.
I've got to ask you about this next issue that's in the news, Dave, because I'm sure you rolled your eyes in the back of your head and said, oh, not again. But we were made aware yesterday that of 6.5 million people that have died in this United States recently, illegal aliens have been somehow getting their Social Security numbers and applying for benefits. And what's really insidious about this story, the U.S. Attorney's Office knew about it and declined to do any prosecution. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, this is typical of what's going on. And again, Zeb, and people think I'm crazy, but this is a real simple thing that's going on. This is all about politics and taking over this country. They're doing this so that they get these people's votes and they get them on their side, so they get them to do what they want to do. Again, it's like herding sheep, and and that's why they leave the borders open, because they're using this for their political agenda. And what it's doing, and the other side of it, what it's doing, is the more benefits that we hand out, it puts a financial burden on this country and can collapse our economy. And, of course, if the economy collapses, who's going to take over?
Absolutely. Dave, another story I wanted you to comment on, because it's right there in your backyard in Indianapolis, Indiana, and that was about the VA administrator in your area. That I can't imagine how this woman did something so heinous, but she was literally mocking some of our veterans that had mental problems, and she had little Christmas elves hanging in her office, showed the elves hanging themselves, and that was in regards to some of the veterans that had mental instability coming back from the Middle East. They put her on paid administrative leave right now, but why wasn't she fired outright?
Well, I don't know this yet for sure, Zed, but my guess is she may be a union member, and that may be the case because, a lot of the VA members across the country are. And it's hard to sort out in what cities they are and which people aren't that. But, they're protected by these things that they shouldn't be protected by. And that's just another control method that these people have in place. And it's sad because who suffers? The people who have given their lives and their bodies for our country.
Absolutely. Another issue in the news that I wanted you to respond to, and that was the Hillary Clinton email debacle. I watched that press conference yesterday from the United Nations. I commented on it in the first hour. The woman looks extremely haggard. The woman cannot make eye contact. The woman lied to cover other lies on previous lies, and she is going to possibly be the Democratic nod for president. This is despicable.
Well, it is, and that shows you how desperate the Democratic Party is, and it's the same thing that I've said about unions. They're desperate, and desperate people do desperate things. They don't know how to survive and prosper and be successful in our free market capitalistic society, so they have to resort to tactics like they're doing. And she's a perfect example of it. I would love to debate this woman in person. And what you find out is they won't debate you, and they'll change the subject because they don't know how to survive and prosper in our type of society.
You bring up an excellent point, and I noticed during the press conference yesterday, Dave, little twitches, little jerks, little facial expressions that, quite frankly, I don't think the lady is very well. I don't think her health is all that it's cracked up to be. And I honestly think that in a debate, a presidential debate, be it with maybe a Ted Cruz or possibly and hopefully with a Scott Walker, I think they could just absolutely, to use a Western phrase, run her out of Dodge City. She didn't seem very stable.
Well, and I agree with you 100%. And this is the thing, and I think we talked about this back when Romney was running. I had talked to his campaign committee over the telephone for about 45 minutes and telling them that, when they did the debates, he really had to go after President Obama and put him on the defensive, do it in a professional way, and that he could expose who he really was. But their comments to me was, no, we need to be nice. We can't do anything that would make us look bad. And I said, you don't understand. That's one of the ways I beat the SEIU. I exposed them for who they are. You can't be afraid to go after these people professionally. You don't call them names and all that, but you expose them in front of the public to who they really are, and you find out these people crawl back under their rocks.
Absolutely. Dave, I need to ask your opinion in regards to the letter that was sent to Iran from 47 senators. I personally am supporting them. I know that many newspapers across the country have called them traitors, which I think is absolutely offensive. Some papers, including our own right here in southern Idaho, the Times-News, has compared them with ISIS, of all things. And I find that to be despicable because, quite frankly, I think that King Obama is trying to supersede the Senate according to our Constitution. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think so too, and I applaud them. They're sticking up. They're going on the offensive, and we need more Republicans to do that. Maybe some people said maybe there's a better way they could have done it. Maybe they could have come out on TV and through the newspaper and that. The only problem I see with that is that a lot of the mainstream media would not pick up on it and let them speak their word out there because they're going to stick to the liberal side of the story.
I think that's an excellent point, but the condemnation of these senators has really been, we have a caller with a question, but a quick comment, whether it's Tom Cotton or whether it's our Jim Risch or Mike Crapo, there seems to be a concentrated effort by the liberal left to literally throw sand in their face this morning.
Oh, well, that's what they do, and Zeb, that's what the union did to me too. And every time they started doing it, I said, "All right, come on, let's have a debate. Let's get this out in the open." And when you challenge them like that, like I say, they start crawling back under their rocks. I mean, it happened with me in Cincinnati on an issue down there, the city council, and I told them, let's debate in front of the city council down there. And they said yes at first, but at the day of the debate, they backed out.
Yeah, absolutely. Caller, we have 2 minutes left. Quick question, go please.
Yes, and I was kind of curious about all this coming down around Hillary Clinton, especially with the elections coming up next year. I was wondering about how much, what do you think about Mrs. Obama running for office instead of Hillary? And I'll let it go at that.
I don't know if I heard everything. We had a bad connection, but
Dave... Michelle Obama run instead of Hillary Clinton.
Oh, okay. Michelle Obama running instead of Hillary Clinton. Good Lord, help us all. Dave, please respond.
I hope they do because she cannot get up on the stage and be the type of person that attracts the American people. And I think if the Republican Party is smart and nominates somebody like Scott Walker, who I really respect, he will make her look bad.
Yeah. And
not only that, he'll get out in front of the common folk across the country and he will get them on the side, whether they're, despite what background they are, ethnic or religious, or even union or non-union, because he knows how to get people on his side, and he appeals to people because, you know something? He's an honest, straightforward man.
Absolutely. And then at all those presidential debates, Hillary and everybody else can be served all the food by Michelle. It would be broccoli with a natural sauce. David, I appreciate you taking the time to come on the program.
One thing to that, I can see him wanting her to run so he can actually stay in power.
Oh, absolutely.
From behind the scenes.
Absolutely. And basically the same is true with Bill and Hillary.
Yes.
Absolutely. David Bego, my buddy, back in Indianapolis, Indiana, author and great blog writer, author of The Devil at My Doorstep and The Devil at Our Doorstep. Get a copy if you haven't. It's excellent reading. He knows what's going on. Dave Bego, God bless you and have a great week. I guess he's gone. Okay. Bye, Dave. Thank you very much. Oh, my. Let's see. We've got to tell everybody about Let's Ride. I got brand new information here this morning about Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Heyburn. And you have until April 19th. Look at your calendar to get in there to Let's Ride for your 2016 snow check. If you want a brand new snow machine, just the way you want it, built just the way you want it, all you have to do is pay $500 down and get it custom built to your specifications. Get get into Let's Ride today. And don't forget, too, 0% interest up to 5 years on all the 2014 Kawasaki's. Only a few are left at Let's Ride. You better get in there today. And by the way, too, Let's Ride is looking for a really good qualified mechanic at Let's Ride. You give them a call, 436-4771. Let's Ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn. Yup, where the fun is sold. Hey, don't forget, too, while you're on Highway 24, that is also the destination point to get to Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, and, of course, locally owned by Dean Cameron and Todd Siemens. Serving you, very accessible and devoted to helping you. So please call them and make an appointment. 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Really, really nice people serving you. I got a note here. I've got to get this on real quick before I get my next guest on the air, and that is, of course, for the Sportsmen for Fish and Wildlife. They're going to have their 12th annual Magic Valley Chapter Rally for Wildlife Banquet and Fundraiser, and that's going to be coming up this weekend, Saturday, March 14th, at the Canyon Crest Event Center in Twin Falls. My dear friend Jack Euler heading this thing up. Preview starts at 5:30 p.m. and the dinner at 6:45. Don't miss it. This Saturday, 12th Annual Magic Valley Chapter for the Sportsmen for Fish and Wildlife. Every day I forget to put that thing on quiet, and the racetrack starts, and there I go. Anyway, I want to also say, last hour I mentioned Streamline Precision at 120 South, 100 West of Burley, and they're right next to Dot Foods, and I was telling you about Tim Vaughn. You can call him for estimates on anything you need built, and right now, Tim called me yesterday, and he said, Zeb, the big issue right now is grain bins for on-the-farm storage, and they've got the best, and they're an authorized dealer for Sukup, Chief, and Balin, and Nucor buildings, and they've got the grain bins ready to go, and they can put them up, and you can save money with on-the-farm grain storage. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, with Tim Vaughn, taking and doing all of your estimates at 431-7314. I'll repeat it, 431-7314. They've got vast experience in industrial development, including dairies and feedlots and food processing and all the other, like the grain bins, etc. And they are currently building the new Funk Dairy right here south of me in Murtaugh. Check it out. Call them and tell them Zeb sent you at Streamline Precision. They are the best. 431-7314. Right now, let's go to the phone lines, and I believe we have with us from the Media Research Center news analyst Matt Balin. Matt, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well.
Well, good. What's going on back in the land of milk and money?
Well, as you know, you have the whole Hillary Clinton scandal, but as you know, that's not why I'm here to talk to you.
No, I know you want to talk a little bit about, and I'm fed up with this, to be honest with you, Matt. The hands up, don't shoot. When I saw, and I'm not trying to steal any of your thunder by any means, I want you to elaborate on it, but when I started seeing members of the St. Louis Rams, and then I saw various basketball players, hands up, don't shoot, and basically it's a phony, it's a fraud, it's a dishonest narrative that never happened in this case with the Michael Brown and Darren Wilson. How did this thing ever get this big? Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, I lost you. I asked you the question, how did this phony, fraudulent statement, hands up, don't shoot, get this big and this widespread in the media?
Well, it seems like the media hasn't found a left-wing cause that they don't like. It's first it was the anti-war protests with Cindy Sheehan, and then it was Occupy Wall Street, and just hands up, don't shoot is the latest thing, and it's the same radical leftists who are pushing us.
But okay, let's tear this thing apart a little bit, Matt. Some of the news was given, and they equated Michael Brown as the gentle giant. I saw this punk. I saw him go into the grocery store like everybody else did on the videotape. I saw him steal. I saw him push the manager away and not pay for anything. And yet the media portrays him as the gentle giant. What a falsehood.
And the grocer who was victimized by Brown and his friend, who was the main person who was pushing this false narrative, he was victimized again when the riots happened in Ferguson after the grand jury declined to indict the officer.
Mm-hmm. How serious is this right now with the media when you have most of the reports coming out and saying, well, unarmed teenager or gentle giant, always playing up for the so-called victim and just literally giving a hangman's noose to the people that actually were in the right, but in the media they're in the wrong?
Well, the latest thing that they seem to be locking onto is a case out of Madison, Wisconsin, and it's still an active investigation, so we don't know all the details. But this guy was on parole, and the police were called out because he and a friend of his had gotten in a fight, and one of the other people in the residence called the police. And when the cop got there, reportedly, he assaulted the cop. Mm-hmm. And it's the right of the police, and it should be the right of anyone to defend themselves in a situation like that. And it seems like the facts don't matter to these radical leftists. They just see unarmed young person, a minority, got shot by the police, and they just want to say that this person is automatically a victim.
Yeah, but, Matt, let me ask you this, and I'm pretty blunt on this program. Is it racial? What would have been done had it been a white versus a white? And let's say that Michael Brown was white, Caucasian. Let's say that this person you're talking about in Madison was white. Is it something now that's turned into a completely racial bias type story, and the law has turned racially biased?
Well, I don't think it's a matter of the law becoming racially biased. It's the enforcement side of the law has become politicized.
I agree.
And with regard to the thing that I wrote about this past Friday, the Justice Department recognized as they were going after the police department, and it seems like they revealed some people who were in the wrong. Mm-hmm. But as they were going after these people who were in the wrong, and these people have all stepped down, or they're in the process of stepping down. There's been, I think, 3 people so far. They pointed out that hands up, don't shoot was completely false. Mm-hmm. And it's actually something that we've known since at least December, because the same network that pointed out this detail from the Justice Department report, one of the other anchors, Don Lemon, basically recognized that this was a false narrative. A former police officer was a guest on this gentleman's program, pointed out that this hands up, don't shoot rallying cry, it's something that people are using to fit their own agenda.
Right.
And the agenda is keeping up the tension between the races.
You know, right there.
It's insidious. And it offends me personally, because I'm a person who is multiracial in background. My dad emigrated here from the Philippines, and you know, I just don't see the point of it, other than to help certain politicians.
Well, there you go. Now, let's go into that aspect, because you and I are on the same page. I look at the Al Sharptons, the race baiters, that's the only way that they get and develop their checkbooks with millions of dollars is at the possible crime and punishment of others, and then they jump in and say how they're going to help the beleaguered and the downcast and all that. But is it because of this administration more so than other administrations, because of Barack Obama, because of Eric Holder? Is it because of the Department of Justice? Is it because they play the race card more than any other administration, possibly within the last 50 to 60 years?
I think it speaks volumes that Al Sharpton is their point person, and it's not just that he is an activist. He's also an MSNBC host. He has a platform on a supposedly cable news network to forward this agenda on the airwaves every weekday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Mm-hmm. And so it speaks volumes that this person whose credibility was shot long ago is still given a platform, not just by Comcast, which owns MSNBC, but also by the president himself.
Matt, stay tuned and listen, because I've got a caller with a question for you. Caller, quickly go, please.
Yes, my question is, how come nobody brings up about this slavery and persecution of Caucasians that happened in the early 1600s and 1650s of the Irish people that were brought over to the Americas in the beginning and sold by British people back and forth, and also ended up in Africa as slaves themselves. But yet, that's all forgotten and good. So when it comes back from African slaves, black slaves, from, it's earlier in time, I understand, they won't let it go. I mean, it is a sin of the past. I'll let you have.
All right, thank you. Matt, respond to that, please.
That is the truth. There were a lot of people as a result of wars and as a result of indentured servitude that were brought over to the United States. They were from Ireland. They were also from other parts of the British Isles, and they were basically enslaved. Mm-hmm. But it's not something that you see often, not just in news media. You don't see it mentioned in history textbooks.
Right.
And it's just one of those things that it just doesn't get taught. It's not part of their narrative to advance their agenda.
Matt, what would happen today? What would happen this afternoon at 3 o'clock if all of a sudden Al Sharpton would change his modus operandi and look at the TV cameras when he's on MSNBC and say, I'm going to start being very critical of black families in this United States. I'm going to be very critical of black fathers. I want you to try to nurture your children and teach them the right way to grow up and how to grow up and get a job and be productive members of society. What would happen if all of a sudden black leadership like Al Sharpton would start to do something wholesome and good for their race?
Well, part of the problem is that people who've spoken up in the past, they've become pariahs. They've become the focus of controversy. There are some people who've supported speaking out about the just complete collapse of the family life. And one of the local talk show hosts here in D.C. pointed out that detail as well. But if he were to come out today and say that, he would have a target on him again.
Yeah.
It would just be completely. He would lose credibility amongst the most radical part of the left coalition.
Let me ask you another.
They would call him a Sal. They would call him Uncle Tom, etc.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let me ask you this question, and I'm certainly hoping it never comes to fruition, and I certainly hope it's nothing more than just a comment made here this morning. But when you look at the Ferguson, Missouri situation, and you look at Eric Holder and the Department of Justice condemning condemning the police force and basically saying that they did a rotten job and intimating that maybe the federal police forces might step in. Then you look at what happened in Madison with another black that is shot by the police, and possibly a DOJ statement saying, well, we've got to come in with federal officers and we've got to clean this mess up. And pretty quick, we're looking at the federalization of police forces across our country. That, to me, is a very scary scenario. Give me your thoughts.
Well, one detail that hasn't been mentioned in all of this, both by the people who by the activists themselves, but also by the media, is the fact that the mayor in Madison is a Democrat. They don't let details like that get in their way. It's basically saying all police are racist against blacks.
Mm-hmm.
They find these cases and blow them out. They just blow them up.
Right. What about, I want to go back to Al Sharpton just for a little bit, because it plays a big part in the hands up, don't shoot narrative that he was out promoting and basically agitating. Here's a guy that's $5 million in debt to you and I, the taxpayers, because that hurts all of us. And yet he's allowed as one of the prominent guests at the White House anytime he wants to put his hand on the doorknob and open it. He's welcome. How? How does this man that basically is a criminal, you and I would have been in the 12 by 18 cell holding on to the bars, he gets away with it, he's still out in the general public, and still getting money for being an insider to all these problems around the United States? How? How does he get away with it? Why hasn't somebody pursued locking this dude up?
Selective enforcement. It's just part of the whole modus operandi of the administration. It's the basis of their amnesty. It's the basis of this case. It's just with a lot of things. It's selective enforcement or selective interpretation of the law.
What is it going to take, in your opinion, Matt, after you did the study and wrote this piece about hands up, don't shoot, what's it going to take to make that go away and never rear its ugly head again?
Well, as long as the activists use it, it's still going to be a narrative, though it's interesting, now that CNN and probably a few other outlets have pointed out this falsehood, they're just going to make it go away. And that was the point that one of my colleagues was making, that they mentioned hands up, don't shoot in the initial reporting 140 times in the wake of the Michael Brown shooting. And as of late last week, they have minimized the amount that they covered, the revelation in the Department of Justice report that turns out that wasn't true.
Mm-hmm. I want to compliment you. A great job this morning, Matt Balaam. And, of course, Matt is with the Media Research Center, and I rely heavily upon these people. He's a news analyst. And thank you very much, Matt, for coming on the program. And please come back in the future, if you would.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Hands Up, Don't Shoot, based on a falsehood, absolutely written by Matt Balaam, and I appreciate his coming on the program this morning. In the media, the CNNs, the MSNBCs, picking up on this and playing it up to the hilt, and it was all a blatant lie. Time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you this hour by our friends at Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A, Suite B in Jerome. Absolutely. The telephone number to call, 324-2004, 324-2004 at, of course, Urgent Care of Jerome. Minor emergency, major care. Your health is their number one priority, and they understand that being hurt or sick is not convenient, so they do their best to make healthcare convenient for you, and they will see you today. Urgent Care of Jerome, bringing you Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is Ever the Ranch. Welcome to the weather, where every day is a good day, and some days are just better than others. Today's one of them good days. Not better than others, it's one of them good days. Look for a pretty nice day. A lot more sun than clouds, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see a few clouds hanging around. Got some rain on the way toward Wednesday night. going into Thursday, but our weather story for this week, the milder temperatures, so we're going to look for temperatures possibly in the mid-upper 60s for today. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It is the only weather you've got.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael, and brought to you this hour by our friends at Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A, Suite B in Jerome, and the number to call, 324-2004. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, good morning to you again.
Hello, Mr. Sunshine.
Yeah, hey, I'll tell you what, we ought to tell our congressmen and our senators on this confirmation for the next attorney general, use your head, guys. Do it. Checking out. You're going to get some of the same you already got in there. So be what's right and watch what you're voting for.
You know, and really, what little bit I know of this person and what little bit I have read about this person and what little bit I think she's going to try to do, I absolutely am against her. Your thoughts?
That's what I've just told you. I'm thoroughly against her. You're going to be getting the same thing, maybe worse than what you already got now.
I think it's going to be, with that possible confirmation, a dereliction of duty in favor of the negativity of the Obama administration. We're not going to get away from anything. We might just change the faces. We might change some of the structure, but we're certainly not going to change the output from that office.
I know it. I mean, it's just one big deal after the other. And senators, pay attention, because what you do when you come home to face the voters, you're going to be in trouble if you vote the wrong way.
I agree. Al, always good to hear from you, my friend. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you for your call.
Good morning, Jeff. I wanted to bring up this issue of the concealed carry law, the Idaho concealed carry law, as it pertains to the exemption for the elected officials in Idaho, not having to obtain a concealed weapons permit. And I just wondered if that was, to me it seems like it seems wrong that our elected officials should not have to comply with the laws that free citizens have to.
I agree with you.
I just wondered what you thought.
No, I totally agree with you. I think what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and what is fair and equitable for one classification of the public is also good for elected officials. And you know as well as I do that some elected officials, and we see that happening daily, especially with this administration, are people that have, let's say, they have some problems. I think that everybody should be on the same equal footing, and I do not believe in exemptions for anybody. We are Americans. We all put our Wranglers on one leg at a time, and I'm sick and tired of exemptions to honor or give something better than someone else to anybody.
Right. Okay. Well, I agree 100%. That's where I'm at too.
You know, I am just absolutely sick. Okay, let's look at Obamacare. Let's look at health care. Look at how our illustrious Congress, our senators and our congressmen, get a better type of coverage than the masses. You know, I don't think that's right. I never have thought that's right, that anybody should be treated any better in a society like the United States of America. And why in the world would government want to develop a tier system so they can look up to the holier-than-thous on tier number 3, and here you and I are on tier number 1. I'm sick of that.
Yeah, you're right. Well, they are excluded from the law that requires them to participate in the healthcare law, and not only them, but their staff and the people that work for them are also excluded from that. So it does, to my mind, it creates a privileged segment of society that, in a free society, especially the people who are making the rules, I think they should have to follow the rules. You know, that's the way I see it.
Well, there's no question about what you said, and I've got to go along with, because if we're going to have justice and equity for all in this country, you can't have a tier system where, oh, well, I'm better than that little guy because I don't need to follow that particular law. No, I don't believe in giving special privileges to anybody.
No, I think that in this country we're all born free, and until we abuse that, we should be on equal ground.
I agree. Sir, thank you for your call. Appreciate it. Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
But they
they are following the rules. They made their own rules.
No, they didn't. Now, let's just back up here for a second, Alias. No. This country still supposedly and idealistically is the first three words of our Constitution. We the people. You and I and others have dropped the ball. We haven't been forceful enough. We haven't picked up the pitchforks. We haven't started the torches. We haven't marched down Pennsylvania Avenue. We've let these thugs come in and kind of take over our government. We the people still are the motivating force.
They've just got to get rid of what's in there.
I agree.
Come back in.
That's what I mean.
As far as Loretta Lynch goes, wasn't she confirmed last week?
I don't want her to be the Department of Justice. I don't want her to be anywhere part of it, and I would like to see anything as a banana peel on the floor for her to slip up on and absolutely be excused from that position. I appreciate your call, man. Thanks. Appreciate it. I got to get a commercial in here real quick. Thank you. Calls welcome, 436-2244-1866. We're not going to gain anything with Loretta Lynch at all. And I didn't mean to cut him short, but I got to get a commercial in here real quick. Loretta Lynch is going to be nothing more than a yes to Obama. Loretta Lynch is going to be nothing more than a perpetration of what Eric Holder was. We're not improving the situation one iota with the Department of Justice. None. Mad River Laser. I love talking about Nicole and Alex Pratt over at Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. My goodness, they've got their business. It's just fun to go in there and see everything they can do. Whether you want caps made for your business or whether you want sweatshirts made for your business, whether you want the buck knives, they've got free engraving and they're 10% off right now. They've got all the business promotion items. Oh my goodness, they can put your logo or business name on anything. And also they've got all the items for employee recognition, like the Employee of the Month, etc. And right now they're 25% off. So stop in and see the people that can really, really highlight your business. And that's Mad River Laser at 502 East Street in Rupert. The number to call, 436-2293. All right, now give me a call, 436-2244-1866-927-4587. The other day, we talked just briefly about how PETA, People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, they are basically winning one of the major battles and skirmishes with animal usage in this country. And Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circuses are going to be phasing out their elephant acts by 2018. And I got on the radio program the other morning, and I said, I think this is bad. I think it's an extremely bad precedent to cave into PETA and to cave into these animal rights activists. And I was reading some of the notices, some of the letters that were sent to the op-ed page of USA Today, and I'll read one or two of these. Where are always cases of abuse in every sector of life, even humans? Why not require closer monitoring and inspection of the animals instead of another gross overreaction by pulling the plug entirely? There you go. That's the best answer to any problem. Make sure that there is a problem. Make sure there is a widespread problem instead of going in and saying, well, we're going to stop this in its entirety. Because the animal rights activists, they're not after just the elephants at Barnum and Bailey Circus. No! They're after stopping any and all animal events. They don't want to have 4-H. They don't want you to have any kind of a horse show. They don't want you to have a livestock show. They don't want you to show chickens or pigs or rabbits. They don't want any of that. And now catering. And you might say, well, yeah, but we're talking about elephants at a circus. It all boils down to the same thing. It's one spoke pulled out of the wheel, and then another spoke, and then another spoke. And then pretty soon the tire goes flat. I would never have caved in to PETA. I would never have said we're going to phase out the elephant acts or any animal acts. None. But now they are. They said by 2018 They're going to be phasing out the elephant usage, but they're going to stay with the tigers and the lions, and they're going to stay with the horse acts, etc. How much do you want to bet that PETA is going to start going after that in its entirety? Ropings, rodeos, horse shows, dog shows, all will fall next. It's time to stand up and be counted if you want to keep your activity and your sport. Next hour, we are going to have Christine Harben-Hansen on the air, and she's going to be talking about how tough it is to get a new business started with all the regulations and everything. And then at 10:30, we're going to be talking to Scott Whitlock, and he is a senior news analyst for the Media Research Center, and I believe we're going to be talking about the Hillary emails. So stay tuned. We've got a lot to come up on Zeb at the Ranch for this morning. I'll be back in 6. Oh my, here we go, hour number 3 on a Wednesday, March 11th, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, and welcome, and our thanks to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and of course, some of our great advertisers, which include Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, locally owned and operated, 734-6969. Really good people. Before we get started, I've got a couple of things to take care of. Yesterday, and Gina, are you right there by the microphone real quick? You are the cook, the Chef Boyardee. Are you there? She must not be there. Okay. Well, we talked a little bit.
What were you needing?
Well, I said I was bragging on you. I said you were the Chef Boyardee of our program, and you knew all these fancy dishes and everything. And yesterday at the Chadwick Sports Grill, they had, and I pronounced it, and tell me if I was wrong, croquet monsieur. Is that right?
Yes, sir. So correct.
Oh! Vive la France!
I can only do the accent. I'm not really all that Frenchy.
Oh, but it was croquet monsieur.
And if I do recall, wasn't that just kind of a fancy name for like a sandwich?
Ham and cheese sandwich. Yeah.
Nice.
But today they have lasagna with the Italian flair, with garlic toast, vegetables, super salad at the Chadwick Sports Grill. So don't go in and ask for croquet monsieur. They had that yesterday. Today, go in and ask for lasagna at the Chadwick Sports Grill. My goodness, there goes the start of the race again. Tell the horses that they gotta wait. And the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Great place to go eat. Stop in and see them today. Hey, by the way, job fair's coming. You betcha next Thursday, March 19th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Idaho Department of Labor, 127 West 5th Street North in Burley. That's hard to say fast. And they're going to be hiring for Dot Foods multiple positions: drivers, full-time, part-time, teen drivers, transfer drivers, warehouse personnel, full-time and part-time. Dot Foods is growing and they're hiring, and it's a great place to work, a great place for people to drive for. Believe me, they've got a wonderful employee benefit program over there. Just really nice people. Don't forget, Thursday, March 19th, 4 to 6 p.m., Idaho Department of Labor job fair next Thursday. You get there and check out all those great positions for Dot Foods. Holy smoke, she's waiting on me and I've got to hurry. Good morning, Christine Harben-Hansen. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Great to be with you.
Well, what's going on back east today? I mean, what in the world are you doing besides sitting there talking to me? What's the weather like? Have you got snow? What's happening?
Well, we did get a lot of snow, and the funny thing is about D.C. is that when we receive snow, the whole city seems to shut down. The federal government closes, offices close. Everyone works from home, and some of us sneak out to, play in the snow.
You know, Christine, where are you from originally?
I'm from Wisconsin originally.
That's right. I forgot that. Yeah, you're from my home state, aren't you?
That's right.
Yeah. And isn't it true, and you've noticed this, that when the people on the Potomac get any kind of a snowfall, like if one little flake lands on the ground, oh my gosh, they're going to close the school. What would these same people do if they were born and raised where you and I were born and raised?
It's true. I remember when I was growing up, we didn't have many snow days. But, you know, I think there's two kinds of Midwesterners here in D.C. The first kind uses the opportunity, all the snow, to talk about how much, you know, it is back home, and, you know, well, this is, you know, they'll grandstand and talk about how this is nothing compared to what we get back home. But then there's the second category, the people who, and I fall into this category, I let everyone else be wimps, and I'll just be a wimp, and hey, if I get a work from home day, that sounds great to me.
I like that. You are going to be talking to me this morning about American economy, American businesses, American entrepreneurship. I'm going to say this, and I want you to tell me if I'm wrong or not. I started this particular business 20 years ago, and I built it from nothing, from absolute scratch, when people told me I couldn't do it. But you know what? I and my wife, we had the diligence to go out and try to do it, and we succeeded. And you know, if it were today and I was starting out, I don't know if I could. Tell us about American business today. Is it really a lot tougher to get started?
Well, we're seeing that fewer businesses are starting. Fewer businesses, fewer people are enjoying the kind of success that you have with your radio show and your company. Our CEO, Luke Hilgeman, recently had a piece in USA Today that gets at this point, talking about how our regulatory environment, all this red tape that Washington puts on businesses, is really getting in the way of people starting, you know, being an entrepreneur and starting from scratch and creating something out of nothing. So this is a very alarming problem, and the point that Luke argues in the op-ed is that this is one of the reasons why our economy is really struggling to get back on track.
Okay, but now, Christine, be more specific with me. What is so much more different today, rules and regulations? What kind of regulations? What kind of rules? What kind of ceilings are they putting on small businesses so that they can't possibly be successful?
Yeah, so the op-ed talks about regulations in general, but when you actually talk about, we can talk about some specifics, and I think a prime example is a lot of the new regulations that were included in the President's health care law. There are, you know, we know many of them. You know, there's the employer mandate that requires businesses to provide a certain kind of health insurance for employees. It requires them to, you know, it enforces rules on how many hours a person can work or cannot work before they have to provide that. So healthcare rules and regulations are certainly something that's certainly a major driver of growth in the regulatory environment. But we see a lot of other examples as well. The EPA has certainly passed a wide array of rules and regulations that impact businesses, such as regulating the water, regulating the air. So combined, you know, with all these rules and regulations are really stopping American businesses from starting.
Christine, what happens? Give me a little scenario here. What would happen if somebody was going to open up let's say a farm equipment company, and they were going to sell, you know, the old steer fertilizer for the gardens and everything else, and whatever else they need for a good kind of a company to serve the urban public and the people that want to live on 1 acre or 5 acres. Boy, by the time they get done with all the EPA regulations and the do's and don'ts, they give up and they go back home and are unemployed again, right?
That's exactly it. And it's really hard for mom and pop businesses to be able to, one, navigate these costs, and two, pay for them. I have some really compelling numbers here. that really show the extent to which the regulatory state has grown. So between 2009 and 2013, which is when this data was last available, the federal government added $494 billion in regulatory costs to the American economy.
Oh, my.
So that's nearly $500 billion in regulatory costs. And that's just federal government. When you actually consider a lot of the local and state regulations as well, which are also hard to navigate, that number goes up even higher.
Yeah, but Christine, wait a minute. When you say $494 billion, I mean, my mind is completely, it fell off the edge. $494 billion in regulatory costs. What are we talking? Costs for what?
This money goes to a lot of other places. So it includes lawyers. You know, people need to hire a lot of really expensive lawyers in order to navigate these rules and regulations. It goes towards paperwork, because the more time that a person does paperwork, that's less time that they're doing their actual job. And it's going to similar compliance costs, lots of fees associated with these regulations. One prime example, a personal example that comes from my own life, is talking to my father. He's been a physician for the past 30 years, and he said when he first started, the regulations weren't so. There weren't as many regulations when he started practicing medicine, so he was able to spend more time talking to families and helping them get better. But he just actually retired this past month, and he said that one of the reasons that he was frustrated is because he was spending more and more time doing paperwork instead of seeing patients.
Well, now, let's talk a little bit about the mess the government has created. When a person starts a business, let's say it's either a tire store, or maybe it's a farm supply store, or maybe it's a doctor's office like your father. Is there a source, an almanac of questions and answers or regulatory things that they have to adhere to? How do people know what's going to be pushed upon them?
Well, it's very difficult to navigate all of these rules and regulations, and what makes it complicated is that it seems like every day there's a new set of rules that a business has to follow. So this actually explains how that $494 billion figure comes into. People have to hire a lot of lawyers and consultants in order to be able to comply with these regulations. So we see here that there's really like a secondary economy that has really grown up. And the unfortunate thing from an economic perspective is that this isn't productive work. Helping businesses learn how to navigate these regulations means that people are, it's essentially busy work. These lawyers could go and work in other sectors of the economy or work in other kinds of jobs. It really shows how it gets in the way of economic growth.
Okay, but is there an answer? To every problem, there has to be a solution and an answer that hopefully will make the situation better. What do we do? Why are our politicians allowing this? They are our constituents. They work for us. Why are they not listening to us? What do we do next?
Well, it does seem like a pretty daunting case, It seems like there's a lot of problems here, and one thing that Congress can do is start bringing back all the authority that they've outsourced to federal agencies. Because that's really what's happening here. Congress is the one that should be making decisions on these rules and regulations. But the problem is that they have totally given this authority, they've ceded this authority to federal agencies like Health and Human Services or the IRS. So instead of making laws like Congress should be, this rule-making authority is given to federal agencies, and these rules carry the force of law.
Well,
so what Congress can do is just simply start voting on more things. There's one piece of legislation out there called the REINS Act that would require Congress to vote up or down on any rule that is greater than a certain, that would have an economic impact of greater than $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really important piece of legislation, and that's one quick way where Congress can bring back the authority that it's ceded to federal agencies.
Well, I'll give you an example of complete lunacy, and that's the EPA. I mean, to the point where they even want to be able to come on to your property right now, and if your little boy or girl has the garden hose in the backyard and makes a little pond, the EPA wants to be able to regulate that water as part of their Navigable Waters Act. This is how insane government is becoming.
Right. The EPA has is coming out with a number of rules and regulations that will have a serious impact on the economy, serious impacts on property rights, and really what this is, it's overreach from federal agencies. And so in addition to Congress doing more on the issue and really standing up to the EPA, and its takeover of property in the air, state legislatures can do a lot as well. That's something that Americans for Prosperity state directors are working closely with state legislators in their states. It's really important to pass legislation and also engage in legal battles that push back against the EPA, really questioning whether the federal agencies have the authority to do this.
Christine, let me ask you this. Is it, in your opinion, is it more or less a partisan issue? Is it more with the Democrats and the liberal left always wanting more regulations and more control, i.e. with the Obama administration? Or if we do elect a conservative Republican president in 2016, would we see some of these things dissipate and go away? Is it partisan at all?
The thing about regulation is that American politicians on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, have really been guilty in passing greater amounts of regulation. So we've seen, looking over the course of different administrations, the amount of federal regulation really grows. It's constant, independent of what party is in office. So what we've seen is, certainly a tremendous amount of growth under the Obama administration. We've seen the amount of paperwork in the Federal Registrar, which is, a good measurement of regulation. That's certainly grown, but it was growing as well during the Bush administration, and it grew as well during the Clinton administration. So this is something that's independent of the parties. This is something that, both parties say that they're focused on job creation. They want to get the economy back to work. This is a bipartisan area that people in Congress should agree on. We should really look to scale back this regulation.
It sounds to me like it's a ever-growing, encroachable, amoebic cell that is turned cancerous, that is going to eat up and gobble up small business all across America. And once they die, what then? I mean, what's going to come in and replace them, Christine?
Well, what's really concerning is that this is really, when you look at, although we don't do international issues here at Americans for Prosperity, we have noticed that because of our increase, and because of our regulatory state and the growth of our regulatory state, America has now fallen out of the top 10 countries when it comes to the creation of new companies.
Oh my!
So essentially, when people don't start businesses, it hurts our international competitiveness.
Absolutely.
This is something that is a serious concern, and it's something that people in Washington should certainly pay attention to.
Do they pay attention to it? I mean, I'll end it like this. Are they paying attention to it, or is it just that they're holier than thou and they don't care? I mean, what's the answer there?
I think the issue is that members of Congress have a hard time making hard decisions. People sent them to Washington to, do what's best for people back home. But unfortunately, once people actually assume office, it's really hard to say no to a special interest that asks you for a favor, or to stand up for taxpayers who often don't have as many lobbyists as the special interests do. So it's really hard for politicians to make the hard decisions that they wanted to, that they said that they would make when they were campaigning for office.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to keep elected officials accountable to the promises they made. And one of these is reining in some of the regulatory state here in Washington. It's so important to let your elected officials know that you're upset with the fact that it's harder to start a business than it was several decades ago.
Absolutely. Christine Harbin-Hanson, a very nice lady with Americans for Prosperity. She's very nice because she's originally from my home state of Wisconsin. Christine, God bless, and come back again soon, would you please?
I look forward to it. Thanks so much, Zeb.
Thank you. Take care. Very nice lady right there, and talking about more regulations equaling less business here in the United States. We are giving these thugs and punks with regulatory concerns in our government all this power, and they're literally killing the business entrepreneurship in America. It's so sad. Really sad. Got to pay some bills here real quick, and I want to remind you about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Dogs barking, look out. I've been going over there on a consistent basis now for the last couple of weeks, and I'll be going over there again on Friday morning for work on my knee and my hip, and they know all the exercises. They know all the sports medicine. They know all about hydrotherapy in their pool with the treadmill and everything. A great, friendly, knowledgeable staff of physical therapists that can help you. I'm just really, really high on these folks. You will be too. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And the number to call for an appointment for them to help you is 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Don't forget, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, helping you get back to being you. Really good folks. We're going to send it over to our main studios momentarily, but I also want to brag a little bit right now with our friends at Burley Glass, and I talked to Leslie yesterday on the phone, as a matter of fact, and Gentle Ben and the whole crew at Burley Glass. Well, I'll tell you what, they're located at 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley, and the number to call is 678-1459, and their slogan is always working hard to provide great service to all the communities in Magic Valley. And if you haven't updated your windows, you should, because I'll guarantee you, we did here in the office about a year and a half ago, and wonderful. They've increased the energy efficiency of our home by 2 to 3 times. Absolutely phenomenal. Burley Glass, 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley. You give them a call at 678-1459. Okay, now we're going to be sending it back over to our main studios momentarily for a break at the bottom of the hour, and then coming up this next hour, we have the senior news analyst for the Media Research Center, and that man is Scott Whitlock, and we're going to be talking to him about the absolute, I thought it was pathetic, a news conference featuring Hillary Clinton yesterday regarding the email situation, and she gave that press conference at the United Nations, one of their big extra rooms yesterday, and it was a softball news conference, believe me, and we're going to talk to Scott Whitlock about that in just a couple of minutes. But right now, let's send it back over to our main studios, and I'll be back. Stay tuned.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much. Welcome back to our last half hour of Zeb at the Ranch on this Wednesday morning. And before we get our guest on the air with us, I want to remind you, too, again about Streamline Precision at 120 South, 100 West of Burley with our dear friend Tim Vaughn. And call Tim today. Make that a must. His number, 431-7314, for estimates on something you need built, whether it's an agricultural building, whether you need grain bins for on-the-farm storage. They're an authorized dealer for Sukup, Chief, and Balin and Nucor buildings, whether it's trenching for pipelines, whether it's cement that you need on your farm or dairy, for mangers or feed alleys, they can do it all. They're currently building the new Funk Dairy over here in the Murtaugh area, and they'd love to work with you. All you have to do is just give them a call and ask for estimates, and they will help. Tim will pick up the phone and say, howdy, and they'd love to help you at Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. The number to call the professionals, 431-7314. Right now, let's go to the phone lines, and we have with us the senior news analyst for the Media Research Center, Scott Whitlock. Good morning, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you for taking the time to come on our show this morning. And one of the things I wanted to mention to you first and foremost is that I sat and watched that news conference yesterday with Hillary Clinton at the United Nations, and I'll give you some of my observations, and I'd like to tell you whether you think I'm right or wrong, okay? Number one, I saw that news conference, and I felt sorry for the other people in the room because Hillary Clinton had them wrapped around her finger like a little tiny string that was tied. She basically told everybody in that room, I'm superior to you and the American public. I erased the emails that I thought were meaningless. I am not going to give you my server because I'm Hillary Clinton. And also, I'm going to make a run for president, and I am above reproach. That's what I saw. Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, watching it, what I saw, I did think there definitely was some of that attitude from her, the way you described it. But what I saw was Hillary seemed irritated. She seemed irritated at the journalists because, let's face it, the Clintons are not used to receiving tough questions, and she actually got some, not all of them, but she got some from the reporters. And just watching the whole thing, I noticed moments where Andrea Mitchell from NBC News tried to start in with the first question, and she interrupted her and said, no, we're going to Turkish television, because they had a sort of pre-selected order. And she got mad at David Schuster, and you could just tell that she... I definitely think you're right that she had an arrogant attitude, but you could also tell that she seemed irritated at just even having to do the press conference.
I totally agree with your summation on that. But, Scott, let's go into this a little bit more. I saw something else on the close-up shots of Hillary Clinton that I haven't noticed before, and I'm going to be very blunt. I think the woman looked really haggard. I think the woman needed a change of makeup, clothing, and hair. I think the woman also had something that I didn't notice at first, but then it developed during the press conference. I noticed some head jerks and some eye twitches, almost like a little something was wrong with this lady health-wise. Did you see that or not?
I didn't necessarily see possible health issues, but what I did notice is that, and what we've kind of noticed in covering this story is that the media so far they could certainly drop this story or decide they're tired of it. So far they have covered it, and this could be an indication of perhaps, at least according to liberals in the media, are they not sold on Hillary as a candidate? Do they think that maybe she is out of practice, that she couldn't win, or maybe do they think she's too old, to go to your point? So I think it could be any one of those things. And specifically regarding the age issue, if she does run, I think that you're going to see the media, and if she is a nominee, I think you're going to see the media treat her differently than they did John McCain, and perhaps, let's say, Bob Dole and other Republican candidates who were of older age, because they certainly would point that out for those candidates, and they may not with Hillary.
All right, now, Scott, let's talk about honesty and let's talk about the truth. In that press conference yesterday, if you watched it, I did. I took notes. Many times during the course of the press conference, she lied or changed the story to cover another part of the previous story. Would you agree with that or not?
Yeah, well, there were definitely there were a lot of kind of disassembling and just saying things that seemed to stretch the truth. So I think. I think that's probably a good assessment.
Well, when you talk about the BlackBerries, when you talk about the emails, and she said a couple of weeks ago when she was being interviewed by a female reporter, they jokingly said, well, Hillary admitted, well, I've got so many, I just can't keep track of them. I've got this one and I've got that one. And then yesterday, she came out and said that she only went with the use of one machine because she didn't want to have the inconvenience of carrying more than one. So what kind of a story are we supposed to believe?
No, it's a good question, and that's the thing with the Clintons. I mean, she so quickly moves from one point to another that you're kind of left a little bewildered as to, wait, what did she just say about this? Now, I would say to the network's credits this morning, we looked at all three networks, and they did point that what you just mentioned out. They did point out that she apparently is fine with using two devices now, whereas this was her excuse as to why she didn't before. So the question is, are they going to continue to follow up on her inconsistencies as the story grows? Because there's been no indication that it's going away or that this kind of put things to rest. In fact, I think it's quite the opposite.
You know, I looked at this story initially, Scott, and you do this every day for a living, but I do this every day for a living to look at stories and find out whether people are lying or telling the truth. And when I looked at this story initially, I thought it was no big deal. But now I'm really concerned. She was the head of the Secretary of State position. She had a lot of power for the first 4 years of the Obama administration. And to think that she was running emails on one machine, both personal and both also for the State Department, and then had the gall and audacity yesterday to say, well, I've got my server, I've deleted the meaningless emails, and I've turned over the other ones to the State Department. I don't want her arrogancy to be the discerning factor as to what I as an American should have the right to know.
Right. Well, that is going to be the interesting thing in how they cover her presidential run, assuming that it does happen. Because one, if you wanted to speculate as to why the media have covered this particular story as a scandal as opposed to other Hillary scandals. You could say, do they think that she is a credible candidate? Do they think that she's strong enough? Because let's remember in 2008 when Hillary ran against Obama, Hillary and Bill ran into media coverage that they weren't used to, that they didn't really expect, such as when in South Carolina, when there were hints that Bill Clinton may be racist in how he described the Obama campaign. And so it's gonna, we're gonna see how are they going to cover that. Are they going to go stick with this story? Because I think that's the key point. Are they just covering it now so that then they can just turn around and say, oh, that's old news, we've covered that, and then we're going to have to say.
Scott, what is the attraction to this woman? And I'm trying to be fair and honest in an appraisal of her, but really, what has she done? What has she achieved that makes her feel deserving of running for the highest office in the world, the President of the United States? Really, what are her accolades, and why has she been given those accolades?
It's a good question. I would say there's two answers. One answer would be that the liberals in the media, particularly some liberal female journalists, look at her candidacy as historic. And if she were the first female nominee, obviously it would be historic, but as you and I know, that they have a double standard for how they view and cover female politicians. You only have to look at Sarah Palin and what she endured. But so I think one answer would be they view her as a potential to make history, just as they saw Barack Obama's potential to make history. So she gets better coverage and easier coverage because of that. And the other would be because a lot of liberal journalists had an affinity for Bill Clinton, and so the potential to get him back in the White House, there's that too. So I think it's those two things.
Let me just throw this at you for a scenario and give me the dividing line in the media. In 2007, I was a big advocate of hopefully seeing Condoleezza Rice run for the presidency. Now let's jump that forward to 2016. If Condoleezza Rice said that she would decide to run and leave what she's doing currently, what would be the discernible differences with the media as far as how Condoleezza would be treated versus Hillary's treatment? How would they, and Hillary being very arrogant and very aloof versus Condoleezza with that big smile and always wanting to be friendly, how would the media treat them, do you suppose?
Well, I think that would be a great contrast, and that certainly would be interesting for us because, for one thing that pops into my mind, you could look at Iraq, and obviously, as we learned, as Obama pointed out many times in 2008, Hillary voted for the Iraq War, so if Condoleezza Rice ran, they would probably try and play up and question her role in the Iraq War, and then not do that with Hillary Clinton, despite the fact that she voted for it. So I think that would be one difference. Honestly, I think with maybe not as much in the networks, but certainly with MSNBC and some of the more extreme, even more extreme than the networks, but places like MSNBC, you would see accusations that she's an Uncle Tom, or all these sort of terrible, horrible comments that you see to conservative minorities that they would just be horrified with if they were used on a liberal woman such as Hillary Clinton. So I think you would see hints of that. Of why is she a Republican? Why is she conservative? Mm-hmm. And it would be very unfortunate and vicious. But I think that there would be a real difference in how they treated Condoleezza Rice. They would question her a lot harsher, and especially just because of the fact that she's an African American woman who is also a Republican.
Let me make one other assumption question to you, and let's just take a look at the Republicans. And I, of course, am very biased towards new blood coming in. I don't want to see Jeb Bush get the nomination. I would love to see Governor Scott Walker. I like his attitude. I like the way he stands up to people. But if he were to be in some kind of a presidential debate against Hillary Clinton, would automatically the press and the media, because of their liberal slant, start throwing sexism charges against Scott Walker when he addressed her in a tone that really gave her the answers in a very abrupt fashion?
I think, yes, to give you a short version of that answer. Unfortunately, I think you would. We've seen that before with Hillary, and if you go all the way back to her 2000 campaign against Rick Lazio when she ran for Senate, that's what you saw when he just treated her as an opponent, and he was tough with her, but he certainly wasn't rude or demeaning. But yeah, I think you would see the media on the one hand talk about Hillary as a strong, independent woman, and then turn around immediately and say almost that she shouldn't be. He shouldn't go after her in such an aggressive manner. And yeah, I definitely think that there would be accusations of sexism. If I had to guess, it would start on your more, as I said, the extreme activist network of MSNBC. You'd see it in Salon and other places like that. But I definitely think it would bubble up into the networks of just wondering, and them saying, well, we're not suggesting it, but maybe this is sexism. So I think you would see that.
Let me ask you one final question here. Is this problem with the emails and the potentiality of it possibly turning into a felony to where she did hide some emails and it's found out, is that enough to bring down the Clinton machine and not have her run for president?
It's hard to say because the Clintons, we've gone through so many of these scandals over and over again, and there's no doubt that they have been assisted by the media. One of the things we talk about when we read about the Clintons is people always say how talented Bill Clinton was and how impressive, and he is certainly a talented politician, but he has gotten a big assist from the liberals in the media that don't treat him the way they would treat Republicans. So I think this story is ongoing. I don't think it's going anywhere, and I don't think she solved it by what happened yesterday. But I wouldn't be surprised if the media, if they're going to pivot and try and start downplaying this. Right now, I think they're trying to figure out just how strong a candidate she is. So, we're going to see. We're going to see if the media, if they truly are going to turn on her and say, well, you're not a good candidate. Elizabeth Warren is the one for us. But I think we honestly just have to wait and see kind of how this continues to percolate, what more information we come out. But it's possible.
I want to say thank you very much to the senior news analyst of the Media Research Center, Scott Whitlock. Scott, thanks so much, and please come back and talk to us in the future. I enjoyed the conversation this morning. Thank you.
Okay, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Very interesting about Hillary, her emails, and her personality, and the Clinton big money machine. I got to pay some bills. I've got to have a weather forecast. And the weather this hour is brought to you by Scarro's Meats. Oh, my goodness, over at 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to call, 324-7657. And right now, Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew, they've got that tax return meat package. Have you heard about that? It's got beef and pork and chicken and cheese, and it's delicious. It's only $300, and you get pork chops and bacon and beef patties and New York steaks and marinated chicken breasts and cheeses. Oh, my goodness, it's great. All kinds of cheese and, delicious. You check it out at Scarro's Meats. They sell taste one bite at a time. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers for Zebra the Ranch. Welcome to the weather, where every day is a good day, and some days are just better than others. Today's one of them good days. Not better than others, but it's one of them good days. Look for a pretty nice day. A lot more sun than clouds, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see a few clouds hanging around. Got some rain on the way toward Wednesday night going into Thursday, but our weather story for this week, the milder temperatures, so we're going to look for temperatures possibly the mid-upper 60s for today. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It is the only weather you got.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael Rogers Weather, and brought to you again by Scarro's Meats, selling taste one bite at a time. They're located at 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. You know what? I'm going to, Gina, if you're over there, I want you to make a little introduction in a few moments, and I'll get right back to you after I do this word for our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations have the spring tire sale going on right now. That's right. They've got tires like the passenger car Ultra Z900 all-season design tire, up to 80,000-mile warranty. Oh, my goodness, depending on the size. You check it out. It's on sale right now. And then also for your pickups and SUVs, the Open Country AT2. Outstanding traction, long-lasting tread, and absolutely a great tire for you in your driving needs. Oh, my goodness, the big spring tire sale. And, of course, the best in shocks and struts and front-end alignments and brake service. Oh, they are experts at brake service. The best in batteries. And don't forget, too, convenient credit for tires and services right there at all Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Yup, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. Gina, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. I understand that we have a young man in the studio by the name of Damon, and I am going to let you introduce him and tell us a little bit about him because he is going to be representing this program as the new board operator.
Yes, I am actually making a switch over to the Cat, so I'm going to be doing the Cat Morning Show. So actually, Damon is going to be the one coming in and filling my position as being the board op and taking care of everything. Actually, he's been running the show for the past 2 days, so he's been doing very, very well. And, of course, Damon, why don't you come up to the microphone here for just a quick second and go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. Give us your full name, and we're going to fingerprint you and everything. No, I'm just kidding. Give us your full name and everything else. Go ahead.
All right. Well, my name is Damon Rowe. I am a graduate from Minico High School from the year 2013. I am 21 years old, and I have been living in Rupert, Idaho for practically 10 years. I really love technology and learning new stuff, and Gina put me on this position, and I was excited to get on it. And, I love talk radio. I love talking, social stuff is my kind of gig, and, I just hope that I fit in perfectly and that, everything goes smoothly as possible, like we talked about on the phone yesterday, and I think it will be good. I have a good vibe here, and, I feel comfortable, and it's great. I love the atmosphere.
Holy smokes, Gina, he talked for full 2 minutes. That kid wasn't vaccinated when he was born. He was shot with a phonograph needle.
Yeah.
Holy man, you can't shut him up. Shut the kid up, gag him or something over there.
Damon's going to do a great job. Of course, I happened to gain him through the high school sports that we do. So he was my board op for Minico High School throughout the entire season. And so we're going through a whole bunch of changes here at the radio station. So Damon was the next in line to help me out with this. And I asked him, I'm like, Damon, would you be willing to do this? And he's like, you bet. And so here we are. And he's actually done great this week. And so if you guys ever need anything, of course, I'm going to be here in the studio. But I am going to leave you in capable hands.
But, yeah, my goodness sakes, if he's got nothing to do over the weekend, have him fly back to Washington, D.C., and he can take care of a senatorial filibuster for crying out loud.
I know. And so, but Damon's going to have a lot of fun. And so, everybody, please welcome Damon Rowe to the show.
Well, now, what about you? Are we never going to hear from you again? Are you going to go into that radio bubble in the sky, or what?
Well, no, I'm still going to be here at the studio. And, of course, I'm going to be available for you and for Damon if you guys need me. But I'm bumping over to the Cap Morning Show, so I'm going to be over there from 6 until 10. I got a raise and a promotion, and so I'm now program director of 2 stations, not only K-Bar, but KKMB as well.
Now, are you going to be available tomorrow?
Probably not.
You're not going to be...
Well, I'm going to be here, and so I'm going to definitely oversee the show, because tomorrow, of course, as we know, is the busiest day on the Zeb Bell Show.
It is a disaster.
Yes, so I am going to be... He's going to be running the show, but I'm going to be right here by his side, and so if anything happens, then everything will be okay.
So we can get all teary-eyed and cry into our handkerchiefs tomorrow one more time.
Yes, and then, of course, I am going to be bringing Damon to the Lunch Bunch, which is going to be on the 19th.
Okay. Well, if he talks like that, I won't get a word in edgewise.
You might have to learn how to shut him up.
Okay. Well, duct tape. Where's the duct tape? Okay. Well, thank you very much. And, Damon, I wish you the very best. And we'll have a call coming in, so we'll see if you can get the call on the air. Let's see what they got to say. Good morning, caller. I've only got a minute left. Go ahead.
Kind of reminds me of somebody else who doesn't know when to shut up.
Yeah, Kilt Man. He lives down the road from me.
Have a great day.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. There's my neighbor. Never misses a chance to jab. Tomorrow on the program, let's take a look and see what we got. And as Gina said, it's no fairy tale. Thursdays are a busy day for us. We have the first hour of the open forum, and then we have our chamber report, and then we'll have Dog Nation. We've got Rita Ramsey. We've got the Starving to Death segment. We've got the Cassia County School Days. And by the way, I know that I don't want to steal any of her thunder, but Debbie Critchfield is going to be on there tomorrow talking about the passing of that school construction bond. And I know she wants to thank everybody for that, so she's going to be on at about 10:12 tomorrow morning. And then, of course, at 10:30, we're going to have Gail Trotter, Attorney Gail Trotter, on the air. And I always look forward to her being a straight shooter about the news events that are going on around the world. So that'll be at 10:30 tomorrow, along with all your calls. So be sure and give us a jingle. I want to say that change is inevitable in all factions, but I'm certainly going to miss Gina, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow one last time of wishing her well and knowing that she's right around the corner in case we need her. So that'll take place tomorrow on Thursday's program. Tune in at 8:06. We'll saddle the horse and ride for 3 hours right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Don't forget, K-Bar 1230, and then also streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow morning the way things were, the way things ought to be.